Hi there. Let's talk about Cambodia, or by its other name, Kampuchea. It's another Southeast Asian country most people don't know anything about, but one they can learn some stuff from. Once the most powerful empire in the region, this impressive country had to deal with some pretty dark stuff, not even 50 years ago. But since then, it has been recovering and is definitely worth checking out. Let's find out more in this random video. One interesting, although expected thing about Cambodia is that it is pretty much all Khmer, or how it is pronounced natively, Khmer, and pretty much all Buddhist. Obviously, you might say, but hear me out. When it comes to Southeast Asia, adding diversity is pretty much a given. You travel 20 minutes and it's possible that people speak another language, but not so much in Cambodia. The Khmer are at a 91% majority, when the ethnic majority of some neighbors is at 50 something. What's more, the rest of the population generally falls under three groups: Vietnamese, Chinese, and Cham. And even the extent to which these groups are represented is not well documented. From a Western perspective, this might sound decently diverse, but when compared to neighbors like Thailand, with its 70 different ethnic groups, and Myanmar, with a stunning 135, it's pretty non-diverse. Religion-wise, 97% of the country is Buddhist. So yeah, Cambodia is pretty much all Khmer and pretty much all Buddhist. The major symbol of Cambodia, appearing on the country's national flag, and the first thing everyone thinks of before visiting, Angkor Wat is what many would call a proper medieval world wonder, at about 162 hectares. It is by far the largest religious complex in the world, about four times larger than the religious country Vatican. Originally a Hindu temple dedicated to the god Vishnu, it was gradually transformed to fit the country's new Buddhist beliefs. The City of Temples, this being what the name actually means, is incredibly important to the people of Cambodia. It has increased cooperation with other countries through restoration and cultural projects, and is responsible for about 40% of the country's tourism, generating more than $100 million a year. They even named their national beer after it, and we know how much that means. Cambodians have two national currencies, one that they have to use and one that they prefer to use. The first is actually the Cambodian riel, and because it's so low in value, and people fear that it will go even lower, it loses the popularity contest to the American dollar. The exception is the Kampuchean countryside where prices are low and the riel dominates. But in cities, it was only used for change and small transactions, below a dollar. So people try to save all their money in the American banknotes. I mean, why keep bills if they only decrease in value due to inflation, right? The government has tried to raise this limit by phasing out the 1, 2, and $5 notes. Good thinking, since this will restrict dollars to higher purchases, but hey, international currency is something tourists benefit from, because they'll be paying for their visa, hotel rooms, tuk-tuks, and pretty much everything that's a bit expensive in dollars. Please don't do this, or this, or this. Touching someone's head is considered a serious violation of personal space in Cambodia. The head is considered almost sacred here and should not be touched irresponsibly. Actually, this applies to basically all of Buddhist Southeast Asia. Not all Buddhists do this, but it is a common belief that the head is sacred, being the highest part of the body, and the lower parts, like the feet, are dirtier. Even the heads of statues are considered more important, so don't touch them, especially those belonging to the Buddha. And as I said, the feet are considered somewhat dirty, So there is social etiquette when it comes to feet as well. Do not, and I repeat, do not, walk over someone sitting on the floor, move stuff with your feet, or even point your feet at someone while sitting on a chair. Unless you want to test the famous Buddhist calm, of course. Did you know that it is expensive to die in Cambodia? The funeral, I mean, not the actual dying. The average cost of a proper funeral is, wait for it, $9,000. Now, keep in mind that this is not the US or Germany, and the average household income is $1,600 per year. That means people would have to not eat for a few years if they want a traditional funeral. It is actually not uncommon for a family to sell all their major possessions because their life savings are not enough to cover the entire cost. Which is why, if you ever get invited to one, remember that participants are expected to bring gifts, and by gifts, I mean cash. According to everyone's means, of course. If you don't know how much to bring, a good rule of thumb is to bring an envelope containing $100. It might sound like I'm exaggerating, but such events are complex procedures in Cambodia and can last from a few days to an actual 49 days, with all kinds of preparations and ceremonies. Believe it or not, the birthday means nothing to traditional Khmer people. They just don't celebrate it. I don't know why. Older people and people living in the rural parts of the country might not even remember them. Well, unless they have a really good memory. Maybe we are the weird ones, partying just because the Earth made another rotation around the Sun since our birth. But I say, why not? We can at least celebrate staying alive for another year. And although traditionally the Khmer don't give it any importance, young people in the cities have started drinking crazy amounts of alcohol on their birthdays too. Of course, being influenced by online media and globalization. And you'll even find birthday cards on sale in many places, but only tourists buy them. Most Cambodians simply don't care. They are kinda weird like that. What this means is that you won't be getting a gift here for your birthday, but hey, at least you'll get one for your funeral, right? Do you treat yourself with a delicious, crispy spider after a long day of working in the tropical climate? Well, me neither, but Cambodians sure do. Many insects have found their way into the local cuisine, and specialty insect markets have become popular places to shop for snacks. Because the country has not always been the most prosperous, many people have lived in poverty and could not afford meat every day. So they took advantage of the lush terrain and found secret sources of high quality proteins, vitamins, and nutrients. By the way, many studies have actually found insects to be quite healthy. In any case, people developed a taste for them and they have remained popular food sources ever since. Local favorites include water bugs, silkworms, tarantulas, and, of course, scorpions. They are generally quite cheap, but depending on the rarity of the species and the prestige of the restaurant, you can pay quite a bit for a bite of cricket. Cambodia's capital, Phnom Penh, might actually be home to more motorbikes than people. You see, 5 years ago there were 1.6 million bikes in the city, out of a total 2.6 million in the country, for a population of 2.2 million people. That's almost one vehicle per person, cars not included. And since then, in just 5 years, the number of bikes in the country has doubled, from 2.6 million to 5.2 million. Now, there are no official numbers, but I'm gonna go out and estimate that at the moment, there are more bikes than people in the capital city. So, clearly, the morning air is fresh and there is no such thing as pollution in this tropical paradise. Oh, and there are driving rules, but nobody follows them. So, if you plan on driving here, you should wear a helmet, maybe even in a car. Or, and this is the fun option, take a tuk tuk. The drivers of these colorful taxis eat traffic chaos for breakfast and can safely maneuver you through the sea of motorbikes. I don't know if this is some Skara or something, but every time I hear the name Khmer Rouge, I get the freaking chills. I said in the first part that Cambodia is very homogeneous when it comes to diversity. Well, there's a reason for that. There was an ethnic cleansing. The Khmer Rouge was a political regime that held power from 1975 to 1979, and during these 4 years of rule, it's estimated that it killed a quarter of the country's population. Basically, when the party took power, its leader Pol Pot, inspired by Mao's Great Leap Forward, started the famous Year Zero plan, which aimed to achieve a kind of farmer's utopia. I am not kidding. The military took the people in the cities and forced them to live in villages, farming at gunpoint. This practically returned Cambodia to the Middle Ages, and scholars, lawyers, and doctors were quickly disposed of. Money was abolished, religion banned, and anything intellectual or not communist would not be allowed to stand. Also, all of this was so well implemented that there was famine in the farmers' utopia. But the worst was the violence, and without getting into lots of details, one of the regime's trademarks was that making enemies disappear was not considered enough, and their families, including descendants, had to join them. Now, for some reason, all of these regimes go after minorities, and by the time the regime fell, the Vietnamese minority was pretty much gone, the Cham lost half of their population, and much of what happened to the rest is lost to history. So, the Khmer Rouge got angry and attacked Vietnam, which is why Vietnam deposed the regime and supposedly saved Cambodia, but basically dominated the country for 10 years. Cambodians didn't like it, the Khmer Rouge didn't like it, and other countries didn't like it, except Russia. So all of them planted landmines. Helped by Western allies, Cambodian guerrilla troops fought for 10 years against the Vietnamese. And during this time, the Khmer Rouge planted mines, the Vietnamese planted mines, non-political Cambodians planted mines around temples to protect them from both sides. In short, everyone planted landmines. And it's a mess, as you can imagine. The result of this is that a huge number of mines are hidden in rural Cambodia and are active to this day. If you go as a tourist, you'll see warning signs in the countryside and around some temples. Just saying, if there's a sign that says, "Careful where you step," then you better be careful where you step. Man, I might get depression just from talking about this again. You're welcome, guys. I'm gonna go get my blanket and some hot chocolate, maybe a beer. If you like the video, leave a comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time with Laos.